wild home hiking, or Kate
And Nicola. Or Baz.
or Birdsong. This is our first video like this. There were a few requests for gear videos from our recent PCT through hike. Just a heads up, we're not gear heads.
And we're not ultralight, definitely not.
So kicking it off, might as well start with
The rucksack.
what we carried everything in. I went for an Atom pack, which I really liked. It's a 60-litre one. I went for the biggest one I could find.
And I went for an Osprey, I think it's the Aegir, which is a 58-litre pack, and I just knew I wasn't going to go ultralight, so I wanted something that would carry a heavy load.
Anyway, that's enough about those. Let's get to what was inside them.
Damn. Oh, whoops. So this is all our stuff.
Yeah. I suppose big ticket item, and probably what was super important on the hike, is our sleep systems.
Sleeping bags. We both have the Sea to Summit bags. Mine is a slightly warmer one. It's the Spark 4. Its comfort rating is down to minus 15 degrees Celsius or 5 degrees Fahrenheit because I'm a cold sleeper, and it's important for me to be warm at night.
I have pretty much the same sleeping bag, but I'm not quite as cold a sleeper as Nicola. I've got the Flame 3. Its comfort rating is minus 4 degrees Celsius or 25 Fahrenheit.
Inside the sleeping bag, I slept in a liner. This was partly for warmth, but also partly for keeping the sleeping bag clean because my sleeping bag is down, so it's tricky to wash on trail. And so, especially in the desert, you get very sandy and dirty. So sleeping inside this meant I only had to wash this when I got to towns.
And exactly the same thing with a silk liner. Next is the pillows. Just a bog standard inflatable pillow from me. It's Alp Kit.
Mine is Exped inflatable.
Okay, so we did wear pyjamas at night. I just went for an icebreaker merino wool top. I know it's inside out, but yeah, it's an icebreaker merino wool top. And then merino wool leggings. These are ISO bar leggings.
Mine are pretty much the same. I've got an icebreaker merino wool top, which is 260, and icebreaker merino wool leggings, which are also 260. And then because I am a very cold sleeper and I get very cold feet, I also had some little down booties, which are called Sundicks.
So that's our bedclothes done. We'll just move these and we can talk about our mats.
Chuck that over there.
Have a little avalanche.
So next is our sleeping pads. I did start off with the Thermarest X Lite sleeping pad, but some of the stitching started to pop one night. So towards the end, I replaced it with the X Therm one because we were in much colder weather towards the end of the hike.
That looks lovely and new, as compared to my disgusting X Lite. This is the one that has been on many adventures and did the whole of the PCT and is still going strong. Apart from looking disgusting.
Could have cleaned it before the gear video.
Well, yes.
Okay, that's the sleeping pads. Over there. Cover your dirty one.
Yeah.
So next is our tents, which are down the bottom here.
Both have the same tent.
This is the Big Agnes Copper Spur UL1. It's a great tent. I didn't carry it in its own bag like this. I carried the inner and the outer and the poles separately, just because it makes it easier when packing up, especially if the outer is wet. It means you're not also getting the inner wet. But it was a great tent. Very happy with it.
Yeah, this is the outer and the inner that I've got, and then the poles and the pegs are at the end there. Great tent. Really happy with it. My home for 7 months. Can't complain. That's enough of that.
Done. Next, what we wore, which changed quite a lot over the PCT due to different weathers and stuff. We both wore the Ridge Merino
sun hoodie.
Ridge Merino sun hoodies, which were, again, great. Like, we had to change them a couple of times because they're natural materials. They wear through perhaps a little bit quicker than a synthetic material. But very happy with those.
I just had the same hoodie. Helpfully, it's inside out again.
It's a different perspective.
But it's a Ridge Merino, small, in the grey colour, because that was the only one they had left when I ordered it again. They say they take longer to smell because they're a natural material, but I think once you're just smelling no matter what you're wearing.
Then when I was in the desert, I often wore shorts. I don't even know what brand these are. My housemate Catherine gave them to me. That's where they're from.
Similar story, I found mine in a hiker box. Yeah, high estate. I liked them. But yeah, I started off in trousers, switched to the Colonel Mustards, and then when we entered the heat, just stayed in shorts until Washington.
I did mix it up a little bit and wore shorts and trousers just because I was concerned about sun exposure on my legs, so I would often swap. So these are the new Alpine trousers, which I bought when I was in Lone Pine, from Big Willie's mountaineering store in Lone Pine, and was very happy with these.
Moving on to mid-layer, I've just had this for years. It's a Rab fleece, and it's not inside out.
I forgot to bring my mid-layer over to Kate's house when we were filming this, but mine was a mountain equipment zip-up jacket, which was great, perfect, lightweight and warm.
Hats. I had the Outdoor Research cap, which is looking a bit minging still. And I liked it because it's got this kind of mesh, which keeps your head cool. Nothing much else to say about that. And then my old trusty Bart's beanie, which I've had for ages. It's ripped, but yeah, I love this hat. Super chuffed I didn't lose it.
Similarly, I've got the Outdoor Research cap and I've got an Outdoor Research beanie as well. I bought this in Idlewild because I lost my mountain equipment beanie in the Paradise Valley Cafe, which I'm still not quite over. But those are my caps.
And then just a little thing to mention is a buff. Mountain equipment buff. Does what it says on the tin. I'm going to add this to the pile.
And I'll add mine to the pile too. As well as our caps, we both wore sunglasses. These are Sinner.
I don't even know what mine are, but they're sunglasses that I got from REI at the start.
Next, shoes.
Shoes. Probably the most important thing. Well, definitely the most important thing. I've got my gaiters on here as well. Catula gaiters.
I had the same gaiters. And I went with the Ultra Lone Peaks, which I wore the whole way. I briefly switched to Topos and they gave me a very sore foot, so I switched back to the Ultra Lone Peaks. Yeah, they worked well for me.
Also Ultras, I also switched to the Topos, which worked really well for me, better than the Ultras, but then I couldn't find any at the end so that were in stock, so I had to go back to Ultras. But yeah.
And they only had this colour left, so we both ended up with matching shoes. Next, another very important piece of item was our puffy coats.
Of item?
You know what I mean. Another important item was our puffy coats. I already had this one. I bought it secondhand off eBay. It's a mountain equipment synthetic puff. Perhaps a little bit heavier than necessary, but it worked well for me. It got a few rips and tears along the way, which have been patched up with some repair tape. These zigzags are supposedly mountains.
I also already had this, also a purchase off eBay. It's just a Rab down puff jacket. We can kind of rattle through the rest of the stuff. We both had the same trekking poles.
Black Diamond.
Black Diamond trekking poles.
We both used the Catula micro spikes when we encountered snow, and ice axes, which we bought in Idlewild and forgot them.
They're not here.
They're not here.
Both had the same pot, the Tokes 750ml pot, I think.
So the Tokes pot, you can keep your stove inside and a gas canister if it's a small one. I had carried 2 lighters because my stove isn't igniting. And my stove is the MSR Pocket Rocket.
I won't get my stove out, but it's also an MSR Pocket Rocket, but the deluxe version, so it does have an igniter on it. Waterproofs quickly. Again, I didn't go ultralight. I just got these REI waterproofs at the start of the trail, waterproof trousers, and just went with them. They're a bit harder wearing. They are a bit heavier, but I stuck with them. I did spend a little bit of money on an ultralight raincoat. This is the Mont Bell raincoat, which was a really popular choice on the PCT, and I can see why. It's super light, but it is quite effective in the rain. It did start to struggle when we got into Washington and were hiking in more winter conditions. It's meant for like spring, summer showers, but it performed pretty well.
I started off with a Montane waterproof coat and then decided to switch to some lighter weight ones, and I bought these Outdoor Research coat and waterproof trousers in Idlewild. However, they ended up not being that waterproof, so I teamed them with a very sexy poncho, which did keep me dry. So together with that, I was okay in the rain. So that's them. Ow! Oh, sorry. Whoops. And next is our toileting kit. So I had a enormous trowel. It's pretty lightweight though, it did the job. And then I also carried a shiwi, so you can pee in your tent. Which was actually quite nice in the middle of the night when it's freezing cold or there's scary things outside. You can pee into a bottle in your tent. And then I also had what they call a cooler clean, which is like a portable bidet, which was great.
Well, I also had a massive trowel because I already had it and I didn't want to get a super ultra lightweight one because this will do the job. The cooler clean that Nicola was talking about is this little thing. It's basically a bidet that you can put on a bottle and have a bidet in the wilderness. Highly recommend. And also a cooler cloth, which is very good for women, which is an antibacterial cloth that you can use after going for a wee.
Next is our water filtering system. So I use the Platypus Quick Draw, which was fine. I've always used that on previous hikes and I already had it. I did replace it twice during the hike because I let it freeze once and then it got really clogged towards the end, so I bought another one. Very easy to use. You attach the dirty water bag here and the clean bottle here and then squeeze the water through. And then it attaches to the CNOC bags, which is pretty handy. These pretty good dirty water bags. And I mostly drank out of smart water bottles, and I had this little water bottle which I carried in a pouch on my shoulder to make water accessible. And the reason I got the Nalgene bottle is because you can put boiling water in it, so when it got cold at night I would put boiling water in this and then put it in my sleeping bag and use it as a little hot water bowl, which was great to use when it was freezing cold at night.
I also went for the Platypus in the end because I started with the Katadyn B3 filter, which I actually found a bit clunky to use. So I switched to this. I did have a CNOC, but it had the mouth was for a Katadyn filter. So I just used what came with the filter, which is this Platypus dirty water bag that this attaches straight onto. So you can collect your water in this and filter out of this. Yeah, and just had that at the end and it was fine. I think this bag is too small if you're in the desert. You probably would need a CNOC. And I also had a little water bottle. That looks a bit minging. It's got a sticker on it, which I try and push in people's faces now. Nobody ever asks me anything about it. It's also an Nalgene, so I used it as a hot pot. I would carry my electronics in this dry bag. Filthy, as is everything. And I had one power bank, one 10K power bank, which did me pretty well. It charged my phone, my head torch and my GoPro. My head torch is a Black Diamond 400 lumen head torch. Pretty standard. Some cables and stuff, a plug adapter. There's some things missing out of here, like my phone and my iPhone cable. And my GoPro. Yep, so that's my electronics.
You're probably wondering who the people are on our power banks. They are our family. So this is Mum and Dad.
And this knobhead is our older sister Anna. Wow, she's beautiful. Who is filming this video.
It's a really good idea to stick stickers on your power banks because when you get to a small town, they may only have one place where hikers are charging stuff and there'll be hundreds of these plugged in. So it's easy to lose them. So, but only our mum and dad look like this, so no one's gonna pick up the wrong power bank. So for my electronics, I carried 2 power banks. So this was the other one, which has got my dad on it, and mum and dad. I carried 2 and I did use 2, but I think I used my phone a little bit more than Kate did because I more often had signal than she did and took more photos and videos on my phone. I also carried, well, we both carried a Garmin. So this is the Garmin, the InReach Mini, which is a very important device. It's got the SOS button if you got in trouble. Really handy for messaging other hikers when you've got no signal, or messaging trail angels or people that you've got rides with from trailheads. And if here's Kate.
This filthy monstrosity is my bum bag, which was giving up the ghost towards the end, but that was just handy for just keeping little things that you wanted to have accessible quite quickly.
I had the same Patagonia bum bag, and yeah, I carried my phone in here, my purse, lip salve. Oh, my watch is in here. I did have a watch too. And then some family members had given some little gifts.
Oh yeah, the trinkets.
Yeah, which my little trinkets bag, which is filthy. So there's a little jewel that a guy that we met in a car park gave it to us, and he said this will see you home safely. I've forgotten his name. We met him in Northern California.
Yeah.
Then Kate's boyfriend's parents gave us a little 4-leaf clover saying good luck, and our Auntie Jill and Uncle Pete gave us a St. Christopher. We also had our foam pads, which were great for lunchtime snoozes under a tree in the desert, or just sitting on when you're having your lunch. But also, we put them under our sleeping pads for extra warmth. And your sleeping pad is less noisy when you're moving around on it when it's on this.
And we cracked them out for the car boot sales.
Yeah, every morning we'd get them out and put all our stuff that we needed to pack on, which was incredibly inefficient.
A little like what we've done now. Yeah. A bit of a luxury item for both of us was our journals, which I'm really glad that I did. I try to write in it every day. I know Nicola was very good at writing in hers every day. And it's really nice to read back on now. I actually filled this one up and had to buy another one. So I got stopped in, I bought this in Canada.
Oh yeah.
So when we went back in to fill in the missing miles, this was the new journal for the missing miles.
Yeah, I also carried a journal, which I forgot to bring with me, but it was definitely my luxury item because it was a hardback journal, so it definitely wasn't ultra lightweight. That was, I think, my main luxury item, among with lots of other stuff that I didn't need.
I think some people thought luxury items were things like pillows and stuff. So it depends what your definition of a luxury item is.
Yeah, we had a conversation with someone, they were like, oh, it's my pillow. We were like, what?
Well, if yours is a pillow, then we've got an awful lot of luxury items.
So there's a few other things that we didn't really talk about knocking around, but pretty self-explanatory. You know, I wore a watch. We ate with a fork.
Get a long fork.
I
think most people know that by now, but yeah, a long fork for the backpacker meals is great.
Then our toiletries, we took a mini hairbrush each.
Hairbrush with a mirror.
We carried things in our dry bags, so this was like my food bag that I would carry all my food in. And then I carried various other things in dry bags, like my bed stuff, to absolutely make sure your sleeping bag never gets wet.
Took a compass, never used it, but always good to have one. Gloves, just, you know, all that kind of stuff. What I would say for anyone that is thinking of doing the PCT or planning the PCT now for 2025 is gear is something you can really get in your head about and overthink. And actually there's plenty of opportunities on the trail to pick stuff up.
And drop stuff off.
Like we changed our things that we were carrying quite a lot and flexed to weather conditions and stuff. So, hiker boxes are great as well for picking up stuff.
Yeah, and a lot you don't need to buy like brand new stuff. We used a lot of the stuff that we already had from previous hikes and tried not to spend an absolute load of money before starting the hike. So I hope that gear video was somewhat helpful, or if you've been curious about what's in our massive bags, that answered some questions for you. But yeah, hopefully we'll have another opportunity to use all this gear again on future hikes.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. To quote Snippo. But we've got our eye on some longer trails, so stay tuned.
What, longer trails than the PCT?
What, CDT?
Potentially. My next step is to clean all of this kit because I've been back like 2 or 3 months and I haven't yet.
If you enjoy the content on our channel, feel free to subscribe. We'll definitely be doing some more hikes, and we've got lots of PCT videos to come.
You can also follow us on our Instagram where we sporadically post things, and that's @wildhomehiking.
So thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.